Hey guys, welcome back to Pixel Tayaki. I'm Axel Lasley. Today I'm actually going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm not going to be giving any anime reactions. Instead, I'm going to be giving my retrospective and analysis on the One Piece film Strong World, which I just saw in theaters for the first time this past Sunday. It's the first time it's had a US theatrical release, a theatrical presentation in the US ever, in honor of the 1000th episode of One Piece, which obviously if you're caught up with my content, you know I'm a far cry away from 1K. I only am just now like brushing against 100 episodes. I'm almost there. And this takes place, I'm told, about 300 episodes in the future. This is already after the time skip, which I know eventually happens. I live with a One Piece fan. No, it doesn't?
It's before.
What? Let's just start with first impressions. When I initially saw the designs of our crew faithful here, I totally thought this was after the time skip. I don't actually know when the time skip occurs because I'm not allowed to have that information because I'm only almost 100 episodes in. So for me, a lot of things look very different than anyone who's caught up with One Piece. I totally thought these character designs were post time skip. Sanji looking older, Usopp looking like really tight. Like all these characters they be looking kind of thick though. Even Brooks looking a little thick.
Bruh.
What you mean, bruh? All of these characters, just look at the cover. Look at these designs. Look at this. They looking thick though. And when I saw Chopper's, I think it's called his guard point form. At first I was like, doctor, I got an illness. And then I'm like, oh wait, I'm not a bird. Was it heavy point? Okay. Yeah, I meant heavy point. See, I don't even know all these moves. I only just met Chopper. Characters like Brooke, characters like Robin be in this. They be in this like it ain't no big deal. I'm like, oh, all right. Frankie's even here. And I didn't even know who Frankie was until about, actually last year, December, was the first time I looked into our display cabinet. Oh, we have a cabinet that we've got the Portrait of Pirate figurines in. And it was only then that I realized Frankie is even a character. So this is the first film I've ever really known who he is or kind of what he does. The whole motorcycle grasshopper thing being sort of like the mechanic technician. That was really cool. I don't really know much about Frankie. I only really noticed his existence last December. Looking into the cabinet, I saw his figurine there, and I was like, who's this guy? He's not one of the crew, is he? And life partner just smirks at me and he says, you'll find out soon enough. You're ready to start your One Piece journey. I'm like, oh, alright. Also, Robin? What's up with Robin's clothes? I mean, at first I was like, is that a dress? Is that like a shirt dress? It's cute. It's cute. I didn't even recognize her at first. So I totally thought that the movie was post time skip. I was getting really excited because I thought that, oh yeah, the time skip happens early on out of our 1000 episode saga, and I'm gonna get to it in less than 300 episodes because I don't know when it happens and he won't tell me. You can't tell me either. But eventually I'm gonna know, and I obviously know now that it doesn't happen in the first 300 episodes. So, that's what I got.
It's okay, the first part of One Piece is better anyway.
What?
I'm kidding.
That's not what I was gonna say.
Kidding.
That is
joking.
not what you told me before. This just keeps getting better and better, you told me.
It does, yes, that's true.
Alright,
it keeps getting better and better, trust me.
I'm looking forward to it. Speaking of designs just getting better and better, you're talking about story, but I'm on the topic of character design. I wanted to talk about the design of the monsters. That was really cool. Just a quick side note, loved all the variety of wildlife on one of the islands. And just as a heads up, in case you didn't already realize this, I'm going to be giving an analysis and there will be spoilers. So if you have not seen Strong World, I would not recommend this particular video until after you've seen it. So he picked this up in 2009 when the movie first came out, and I've seen this on the shelf for many years because we've been in a relationship for over 10 years and we've lived together now for several years, and I I've seen this book before, but I never really understood the significance of it. So now that I can actually look through and cherish all of these designs, like, what a wild adventure that film was. Holy cow. Like, look at this. There's the mammoth. Look at the mammoth. This is intense. It's so cool. This book has all of the designs in it. I'm hoping it's got the fox one in it. I love that guy. Look, guys, I found it. I found the fox rabbit. And look at that Komainu looking beast. So cool. Look at these designs. Look at the fox bunny.
Almost like it's straight out of Wano or something.
I love it. I don't know what Wano is, but I can't wait to get there. Is that where the animal people are?
Wano.
Oh.
Why, yes. Wano.
Animal
No.
people! Where are you? Oh, and here's the bear and the big scythe grasshopper. Look, there's the bear. Like show and tell here. Here's the scythe grasshopper. Look at these faces. Look at the expressiveness. Everybody was so expressive in this film, from the animals to the characters. And don't even get me started on the design of our main antagonist. Designs do a lot of talking in narratives that are especially told through visual media. And looking at Shigi's first entrance, I was like, oh my god, that guy has swords for legs. Holy shit, he's got swords for legs. And look, swords for days. And when he first entered, true to One Piece style, what I loved is that Shigi and the gorilla and the mime were all, like, when we first see them, they were dancing all silly, comical. You had no idea why Nami was there. It's sort of the story opens up in media res, in the middle of things. We see that Nami is captured, and we don't know why or how that became of it. She's reflecting on what has happened. So that happens early on in the story, and our first glimpse of Shigi is when he and his two right-hand peeps come in with him, and they're like doing a silly dance. You don't expect, based on that silly interaction, that later on in the film, he's gonna be an absolute asshat. So in terms of character development, I love that One Piece has this pattern both in the anime and in this movie, which was also written by Oda, of characters not initially seeming like you would expect. I knew that the guy was pretty intense because he had swords for legs. That was my first observation. It was the juxtaposition between the seriousness of the swords for legs and the silly pirate jaunt that caught me off guard. I was immediately under the impression that Shigi was not. I didn't think he was going to be the captain. I didn't think he was going to be this mastermind asshole that has been scheming for over 20 years. He said 20 years. With these floating islands, the villagers have been there for 20 years. He's an evil, conniving mastermind that just is introduced to us through this silly little opening jig that he's doing with his two right-hand crewmates. And you don't expect initially that this is going to be the main villain of our story. And then surprise, surprise, later on down the line, we see it is Shigi. Shigi is in fact the main antagonist in all of this. And he's cruel and he's heartless. And he, quite frankly, just dehumanizes people down to what they can do for him. He absolutely belittles Nami constantly by refusing to call her by her name. He calls her baby doll in the most just diminutive way possible. After a while, I just wanted to get up and slap him on big ass face on a huge theater screen. Baby doll. I was like, oh, I hate it. Just yuck. She's not just a baby doll. She's not an object. This is a person. She has a name. And he just refused to use it the entire time he was interacting with Nami, and I absolutely loathed it. Just made my skin crawl. It's so just patronizing. He was super patronizing. In fact, probably even more so than Arlong. I mean, I hate to give Fishman credit, but at least Arlong respected her work and respected her use to him. And still found, I mean, maybe it benefited him to do so, but still found a way to give her some extent of expressing her individuality and needs. Like, she was still allowed to go home and see her family. With Shiki, on the other hand, all we have is, you're gonna join my team as a navigator, and it was very much forced coercion. Like, you're gonna be forced to go along with this, and I still do things by the book decorums. It's not really. He makes it look like he's totally giving her a choice, and that she totally wants to join them, makes himself look like a good guy by letting her use the little recorder technology from Skypiea that I haven't gotten to yet. What's that called?
Tone dial.
The tone dial, thank you.
It was an ultimatum.
Right, it was. That's exactly what it was. It was an ultimatum. And that drove me crazy because he makes himself look like he's totally doing this nice thing for her by letting her use the tone dial. But in reality, he's totally just ripping her away of her agency and forcing her to go along with this. Nami has been so broken and emotionally kicked around per her origin story that by the time we got to the dinner party where Shiki was beginning to start the initiation of the Golden Lion crew, she didn't even react to the violence that was being shown to her on the screen. No crying, no screaming, and his reaction was very telling when he said, oh, I couldn't even get any screaming or crying out of her. Very disturbing. He's very much looking to feed upon her emotionally. There's a lot of narcissistic traits in Shiki, probably even more than Arlong. If I had to rate the characters I've encountered so far in my almost first 100 episodes of exploring One Piece, I would say that Arlong and Shiki are up there for the award for most narcissistic traits. And Shiki right now takes the cake because he dehumanizes Nami, he brute forces his way to emotionally get people to go along with his schemes, he sets people up for absolute emotional failure in terms of receiving consolation or true peace in a situation. And we see that with the fact that he decides to destroy the village just to spite the fact that they were housing the Straw Hat crew. They had nothing to do with it. They didn't do anything to Shiki. They've just been existing peacefully for 20 years or so. All the while they're being tortured. It's not enough that they're not getting enough food and are in a dangerous situation and floating miles and miles above the earth, totally beyond their control, left to live this cobbled together lifestyle. Think about that for a second there. They're being held prisoner, essentially. Prisoner of his war on East Blue. So when Nami absolutely gray rocks the fuck out of him and doesn't give him any reaction, I wasn't surprised. And then to hear him say, no screaming or crying, and just to be surprised with the lack of emotional reaction of the violence being presented to her on screen. He was looking to feed off of her pain, looking to feed off of her reaction, essentially, looking for that trauma, looking to mine from her emotional responses, because he gets a rise on it. He gets a rise off of it. And I think that's absolutely sick and further cements Shiki as being out of touch with any kind of compassion or understanding. Shiki's world only revolves around Shiki's world. So in terms of characterization, we can really delve into that psyche and that understanding by looking at A, his interactions with Nami, B, his neglect of the village that he's held up there intentionally to crush at his choosing. At any moment in the back of his mind, he knows, I've got power over all these people, and it brings him joy. I'm sure he's getting a rise on it every night before he goes to bed in terms of characters. I'm sure that knowing that that village is there under his thumb and all the men and young women from the village have been taken to serve his purposes is sick, because he's left them there to suffer, and he knows that they're suffering, and at any point in time, as the narrative proved to show, he could just snap his fingers and they'll be done for. Nothing they could do against him, and knowing that they're suffering out there brings him joy, because he's sick, twisted, and demented. And then, further proving that he is full of malice and out of touch with any kind of compassion is his reaction to beating the Straw Hat crew in the first fight. The way he leaves them there, it's all about showmanship. He's very much a character that's about image, and that is why he put them, all of the Straw Hat crew, in that spiral, that rock spiral that he used, which was cool, by the way. Visually, that was really compelling. The rock spiral, the rock lions, the fact that he could use his gravitational abilities to shape and move rocks. He didn't eat the rock fruit, if that's even a fruit. He ate some kind of gravity fruit that allows him to control gravity. So the fact that he's adjusted his abilities to be able to control the element of rock was really surprising. It was a very compelling fight due to how well it looked like it was going for our crew, but then things shifted because they quickly realized that all their attacks, while very strong, were not having any impact. And just the fact that Shiki put them on display reminds me a lot of Mr. 3 with the candle wax. There's certain traits of just antisocial personality disorder there. The way that Shiki put Nami's friends, they're basically her family. They're like family to her. The way that Shiki put them on display was a lot like Mr. 3 wanting to turn Zoro and Co. into living dead like wax figures. Why? So that they could look at them and get a rise on the pain. It was very sociopathic. A lot of Shiki's traits really disturbed me, and that's what made him such a good villain, though. Anybody that can look at other human beings and see this sense of domineering over them, anybody that diminishes human beings into tools and will stop at nothing to get those tools to work, is really disturbing and makes for great villainy. All because it allows for a crop that our main characters and protagonists, they get to triumph over him. And the way that they go about doing that was actually really cool. Nami works from the inside to set this up, and she's still working with her crew. Loved Luffy's reaction, by the way, to the tone dial. Just was so disturbed that Nami would even say these things because he cares so much about her. It's not just about what Nami can do. It's not just about what she brings to the crew in terms of skills as a navigator. It's also about who she is. You can tell from Luffy's reaction and the fact that they call her by her name that she's a real person to them. They really care about her, versus Shiki doesn't give a shit about her feelings and just wants her to perform for his own needs and benefit, and will stop at nothing to twist her into being forced, ultimatumed into this situation that the story opens up with. Another thing that I want to talk about in terms of narrative structure is, in addition to the story opening in Media Res, I was really surprised with how the story pulled the animals out. I totally thought when I saw Shiki's rock islands that the towns were disappearing because of his rock ship gravitational abilities. I totally thought he was grinding them underfoot. So when the papers showed that villages in the East Blue were being destroyed, I thought they were just being reduced to rubble. Ash, that was it. I did not expect there to be a bunch of animals that they've been experimenting on, doing these bio-evolutionary experiments for the last 20 years with these plants and chemicals. Just like I was totally thrown for a loop when the jester-looking guy turned out to be a chemist. Hey, people are not always what they seem. What you see on the cover may not be what you get on the inside. So in addition to all the animals having fascinating designs, look at this saber-toothed tiger. This is really cool. In addition to these characters having absolutely fascinating designs, they had a very compelling role in the story too. There's the frog. Really cool, just really cool characters. So in addition to them playing an absolutely fascinating role design-wise, they played a really great role story-wise too. I did not expect them to be the vehicle through which Shiki was enacting his will upon the world. Just absolutely terrible. Disturbing how he turned on the village that he's already been torturing the fuck out of for 20 years. more designs. This is really, really awesome. I had a great time with this movie. I loved the narrative surprises, the character surprises. A lot of that came out of subverted expectations. Because the clown guy had a design like a clown, you wouldn't expect him to be a chemist, you know? So I like that juxtaposition. I like the fact that on the surface, you would think that he's a jester. There's no way he's the chemist. And then he shows up in the lab and you're like, oh my god, it was him all along. Just like we had already been told. He was already totally surprising his crew. We'd been told through the narrative, this guy talks. He's not just a mime. So even though I'd already been given clues that he's more than meets the eye, I still did not expect him to turn out to be the chemist behind all of this, making the drugs to make the animals aggressive so that they could be weaponized for Shiki's purposes. So another thing that took me by surprise was their role in the story. At all. I didn't know that's how the villages of the East Blue were being crushed. And I loved how everything turned when we got Billy in the story. Billy ended up being the downfall. So thanks to their experimentation, they created Billy. Billy played a huge role in the story, and again, another element of surprise that just kept me on the edge of my seat was what's gonna happen next? We got this electrical duck now, Phoenix-esque, peacock-esque duck that is totally now king of the jungle because he has electrical abilities that can put down basically any of these animals. Super intense. And I just enjoyed his relationship with Nami and seeing them interact and work together. I loved it. It was really cool. Very much gave me Karoo vibes, and I really enjoyed having Karoo in the Baroque Work Saga. And now as we head into Alabasta, I'm looking forward to more Karoo. So having a call, just another a bird to call back those memories made me feel a sense of familiarity. I really enjoyed Billy. I actually wanted more Billy in the show, in the movie. I kind of want Billy in the show. Like, I wish Billy could join us. I almost want yet another animal mascot alongside Chopper. Yeah, Chopper's the cute one, but Thunder Duck Phoenix Peacock Buddy. So I very much enjoyed his element. In addition to the story too, added a great sense of suspense and surprise, because again, what you see isn't what you get. On the surface, you don't think, oh, electric duck, and then sure enough, electric duck peacock phoenix. Cool, sweet, awesome. And then the scene where Nami is flying on Billy, oh god, that got to me. I loved it. Really intense. And then wrapping up my thoughts in general, I had a really fun time with this movie. I gotta give it props for just the constant surprises that just kept me on my toes. Didn't expect the snow at the end to start symbolically falling as things are getting colder and they were really beginning to break down Shiki's plans. And then when they finally managed to turn the animals on him, oh god, it was so satisfying. Just to see his own plans and everything he built beginning to turn on his very unlikable ass. It was really cathartic. Dude had it coming.
It's mostly just Billy, though.
I know. Billy was their ace in the hole, but he accidentally led to Billy. You know, knowing all of his work led to Billy in some way or form, whether intentionally, accidentally. It seemed very accidental that Billy came about, but he would end up designing his own downfall by accident or otherwise. Billy came into the story and changed everything. Billy was a huge ally to them. Really allowed them to push forward and give them that opening to make a difference and to start blowing off the literal doors of his establishment so that the rest of the animals could come in and play a role. And they used his own tactics against him, which, when all else fails, when your own tactics don't work, yeah, borrowing a page out of the enemy's book, smart. I liked it. Props where props are due, credit where credit is due.
Okay,
so.
Last thought. I want to know.
Yeah.
What do you think of the dub voices? Because you've been watching it in Japanese subtitled.
Yes, I've been watching it subtitled for almost 100 episodes now, and when I first heard Sanji's voice, I was like, yes, that is a good voice. That is a great voice for Sanji. Shiki, for all the shit I'm giving the character, I love the voice. The voice acting was really great. I actually really liked Luffy's English voice. None of the voices felt odd to me. You know, I wish I could have had a few more Robin lines. I don't feel like I heard Robin all that much, but from what I've gathered, I think she might be more of a quiet character. So I don't know. I'll find out soon because I know she's coming up in Alabasta. I don't know if she's gonna be joining the crew soon because right now, where I'm still at in the story, she's Crocodile's right-hand gal. So I have no idea how that's gonna happen. I don't know how she joins the crew. I have a lot of questions. Voice commentary aside, the voice acting was great. It wasn't really distracting for me. I enjoyed the English dub, actually. It was fun to hear Brooke. I really enjoyed Brooke's singing, his sing-songy tone from time to time, and constant requests for panties. I can't wait to actually get to Brooke. I know I'm told that's over 500 episodes in, so I don't know when that is. When is it then? I see you shaking your head.
It's before where this movie takes place.
I have a long way to go.
It's before that, that's all I'll say.
I have a long way to go. He won't let me know when these characters join, which is fine. I gotta be along for the ride, so. Other than that, I think...
Because, like, look, dude, they're all over. It's hard to hide these things from you. At least I can hide the details.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know. Just, in addition to Brooke, there were a lot of things I just don't know. I have a lot of questions. When did the boat get a fucking jet? When did all these new attacks? Gear 3? What the fuck is that? And is he blowing air into his finger? How does that work? How does he...
Third, baby.
How does he... It's not called Gear 3?
Well, in the English version, it's kind of fucked. Because it's Gear 3rd, but the English dub and subtitle, they call it Third Gear. And in the manga, they call it Gear 3. The English manga.
Okay, so...
Gyatsago, which means Gear 3rd.
Gear 3rd. Okay.
That's what I will always call it.
Okay, so what the fuck is Gear 3rd? And where are the gears? And how are they shifting? And... What is hockey? It wasn't even in this movie, but I know about its concept, and I don't know what it is, and I want to know! And I want to know about Robin, and I want to know about Frankie and his mechanical abilities, and I cannot wait to get to the parts in the story. I'm gonna come back and rewatch this movie again. I'm gonna be revamping my Patreon soon with more stuff, but when I get caught up to where around about this canonically would... It doesn't really take place in the story, I'm told. It's technically not even canon. But when I get to the part in the story roundabout where this would most likely be, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna rewatch this when I'm after 300 episodes in. And I'm gonna give this a fresh perspective with information that I'll have. There's so many things I just don't know, and I want to know. I want to know, are the numbers on the side of the boat referencing how many times the boat's been destroyed? I saw a 3 on the side, and I'm like, is this, oh my god, I know the boat gets totaled, or something happens. I don't know what happens, but I know there's another boat. And the sheer size of this boat is so much bigger. How the hell are they powering this thing? It's huge. There's a laser cannon on the back of it. Is this the 3rd boat?
What powers you?
Huh?
What powers you?
Food?
No, like, think about it. Like, what powers you?
My heart?
No. Like, what kind of beverage would you say powers you?
Soda?
What's your favorite kind of soda?
Dr. Pepper? And root beer.
I'll just let you think about that kind of thing.
Are they fucking powering this thing with carbonated water?
You'll find out. Just keep going.
Does this have something to do with Frankie?
You'll see, man. You'll see.
I'm gonna find out the answers to these questions. I'm gonna keep watching. Thanks for being along for the ride. I'm gonna go. You guys can look forward to more One Piece drops soon. I've got more episodes coming. I'm currently also watching Demon Slayer. If you're interested in following along for that, I'll be dropping more of that stuff tomorrow. And until then, take care, stay creative.